I was gonna do a bunch of tags, but I said nah. Just gonna do it this way. But it feels great outside. It feels great out here. It feels great. It feels great. It feels great. It feels great. I'm gonna do that look off. Whether it be retrograde, the devil, Saturn, Aries in whatever placement, you're starting a new company, you're going through a breakup, you're in a new space. Why can't I had to ask myself this question in my reflection. This is day 6 of the self-reflection challenge. I had to ask myself, why do I want to only idealize or idolize when something's good happening based on my work, based on me working on myself, me doing what I need to be doing? I can accept all the good that comes with it, but I can't accept when the shit is starting to fall apart. Why is it so easy to accept the yes and not accept the no? Why can't I accept that because me doing this work, because me honoring my thoughts and creating my boundaries, instead of me reacting in a way that's, that's what happened when the bad people start falling away because of this, and this. Why can't I accept it? Why can't I put the honor in my boundary? Why can't I put the honor in my work? Why can't I put the honor? Why do I only put the honor in my work? Or why do we put the honor in our works only whenever something is good happening? But we can't accept the initial point when we understand that healing is destructive. We are deserving, but we're not entitled. And this level of honesty is going to force you to sit down with yourself for a little bit. Idolizing destruction. Knowing I need to tear some shit up. Knowing I need to make some stuff fall away. Knowing what's about to happen. Truly accepting everything that's going to be happening without me trying to recondition myself, but understanding I'm going through a process of relearning myself. I posted a post today, day 6 of the challenge, day 6 of the 12-day challenge, of the 12 days of self-discovery. And today's question was, what do you idealize, what do you idolize, or what do you put on a pedestal? And there's always a difference. There's always that lower aspect and always a higher aspect, and that's what we get into every time. That's what I get into whenever we're breaking down in these classes. I used to idealize the idea of what I thought a man was. I used to idealize what I thought the idea of being independent was. I used to idealize what it was I used to idealize the feeling of being able to hide my emotions. I used to idealize the struggle so I could hustle. But if I wasn't struggling, then I'd stop hustling. If I wasn't, it's kind of like, if I'm not in a relationship, then I ain't got to be loyal. Not realizing that that's a telltale sign for me of I'm not loyal to myself, or I'm not in honor with myself. All of these aspects, when we think about idealizing ourselves or putting ourselves in a certain process, why can't we idealize or idolize the destruction? Why do I have to keep putting it on something else? Why, when something bad happens, or I'm going through a mood change, or I'm going through an elevation, or I'm going through a shift, I have to find something to put it on? It has to be because my ex. It has to be because the reason that I'm at where I'm at is because of my ex. Why can't it be because maybe, just maybe, we had the same ideas, we had the same ideals, but because we haven't dealt with our own individual events, this space is not going to be. Why is it when I'm sitting there inside of a space with myself and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm working on myself, I'm working on my company, I'm working on my own business, I'm working on my own platform, and then my job starts to act up? Why do I blame my job for the bad aspect when just 3 weeks ago I was sitting there like, okay, my job, as long as I got the job, my job's going to help me make my money. It's all in the aspects of the shift. One quick, simple shift. That's what we'll sit there and say. I made a post a couple of days ago. A lot of us are still in the programs of literally, I was stuck in the program of my paycheck. How I made money, how I spent money. So since I was still stuck in this idea of my paycheck, that means I made the money, I made my weekly pay, I made this money, so now I get to spend it. I was still stuck in there's gonna be more based on the work that I put in. But I didn't understand that it wasn't based on the work I was putting in, it was based on the idea of me idolizing my struggle. If I'm not struggling, I'll spend until I'm struggling again. Why couldn't I accept that? That's that internal work. Why can't I accept that? Hey, maybe it is on me. The programming of understanding, I said this before. You have to accept that in every space that you go into, automatically it's your fault. And you're not saying it's I had to learn that I'm not saying it's my fault due to from scarcity, from lack, or from this predisposition that I put into my mind that every time that I'm doing some shit, it's my fault. I had to accept that, I had to accept these things. When we're coming into this space with ourselves, everything that you're doing is cause and effect. The law of causation. It's cause and effect. If I start doing my internal healing work, and I'm doing my healing, and I'm on my path, and I'm changing my processes, then I must accept everything that comes along with it. Not just the things I want to relate to. Not just the things I want to associate with. See, when it comes to this process of idealizing the destruction, you're going to be looking at, in order for me to change, in order for me to evolve, in order for me to actually shift, I must first acknowledge my associations and my relations to the traumatic events and the results of my traumatic events and my reactions. I must accept my reactions to traumatic events, the shit that I've been, I must accept the results. And the fact, that's the only way I can come into the new network of the process. Only way I can come into the new network of the process. But if I'm still stuck in that paycheck program, if I'm still stuck on how I used to make money, if I'm still used to how I used to make money, i.e. how I used to use my emotions or mismanage my emotions, if I'm still stuck in the aspect of I shouldn't have to, if I'm still stuck in a process where I feel that I've made all the necessary adjustments, peace, please. If I'm stuck in a mindset where I've made all the necessary adjustments so I don't have to change anything, the choice is going to be made for me. The choice is going to be made for me. So I rather accept it. I must accept that my growth is going to be continuous. I must accept that this destruction is not a one and done. See, a lot of times we come into these processes, especially when it comes into our healing process, doing work, networking, and growing, we go in with that predisposition. I've done this, and I've done this. Therefore, I should get this, and I should get this, and I should get this. That's the 9-to-5 mentality. Based on the work that I put in, I should get this amount. I should get this much energy back in return. So then you hear a definite, now use an example. You use the definition of reciprocity. You just learned the definition of reciprocity as an example. So now everything has to be reciprocity. Everything got to be equally given back in every situation. You got to understand that in some situations, you're putting a value on something, so it devalues that definition. So you get the results of a devalued, you get the results of the devalued definition. So that's when you get the trigger of you start doing a bunch. Now you take that definition of reciprocity and you attach it to you're already overexerting yourself into a space. And then you tell yourself, now you created the reciprocity became your new trigger. It became your new denial button. Now it's going to help me further repress my value system. How I don't have value. I don't have my worth with myself. How I don't really understand certain aspects. Because now I'm looking for reciprocity. Reciprocity becomes external. I'm looking for peace. Peace becomes external. I'm looking for love. Love becomes external. I'm stuck in this falsehood of trying to further assimilate my reasoning for me being where I'm at with myself. All I do is I don't change. We go into this all the time. I create another identity. I create another Trojan horse to hack my way into another space. That's basically what you've been doing. When we look at it let's look at it from that spiritual sense, the mental sense, the emotional sense, and the physical sense. In the spiritual sense, you wouldn't put all of your energy into that deity, this deity, that train of thought, that school of knowledge, that aspect, and you played a Trojan horse. That's why it costs so much. This is how we gotta start thinking about these things. That motherfucker hit you over the head, says it's gonna cost $2,000 for me to be your teacher. It's gonna cost $1,600, $2,000, $4,000, X amount of dollars for me to do this work for you. And then you're looking at yourself like, oh my God, why it costs so much? Let's think about it. Let's think about what they just said. They're going to do the work for you. They're going to do the work for you. They're going to do all the paperwork. They're going to do everything for you. You're not going to have to do anything. All you got to do is show up. All you got to do is show up. So what do you expect will happen? That's what would be expected. That would be the expected result. Sitting there in that space instead of you like, you know what? Instead of me sitting there and letting that trigger hit me like, I don't have enough information. Because then this is how that program works, that your program for comfort works. And you go right back into your comfort zone. You'll sit there in that space and be like, I need more information. So now you go get more estimates. You go get more estimates. You go say it to a couple of people. You go tell everybody a piece of the story or the piece of what you're trying to do, and then everybody gives you what you say that you need in order for you to make your decision. So now you make your decision. Now you put your expectations into that decision. You don't get what you don't feel it, you're not feeling it, you're not getting it. So now the mentality goes in. Now you're stuck in that old mentality, that subconscious thought process. Remember, the subconscious doesn't record right or wrong. It records it as it is. It records it exactly as it is. It takes it in. Take it as I am. It takes it as it is. So if it failed, then in your subconscious, it's going to connect to wherever else you felt that you failed at. The failed relationship, the failed friendship, or whatever aspect you wanted to put that in there. It only takes in the code. It only takes in the code of, all right, cool. I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of losing everything. I'm tired of losing everything. All your subconscious takes in, okay, tired of losing. What are you tired of losing? It takes that shit in. So now now when you consciously move it into your space and your ego splits duality, your trauma, and the condition, the trauma, either I can deal with the trauma or not deal with the trauma. Now you sit there in that space and now you're like, this is triggering me. This isn't triggering me. I'm tired of losing. I deserve something. But in reality, you're telling your subconscious is record everything that you believe you deserve as entitlements based on what the fuck you've been through. So now you're focused on, it's like literally looking at what you're associating yourself with. Your associations, your relations. It's like, use the example. Here's a killer example. I told my mother this example earlier today. I asked my mom, I was like, what's the Cancer Association for? What's the Cancer Association for? My mother looked at me, she froze a little bit, and she was like, for the research for cancer relief and cancer research. And I was like, okay. So people pay into the cancer research so they don't have to do the research themselves. So as long as the association is there based on my lack of understanding, they'll do the research for me. And then I can feel good. But if I really go sit back and I already sat down and I've looked at the aspect of what cancer is simply your body responding to your body being too acidic. And then if I go back and look at it, now I got the inkling to want to go look at the Cancer Association sponsor list, and everything that's on the Cancer Association sponsor list, every food that they're using, every person that's on there, they all sell acidic shit that causes acid, mucus, and all this shit in the body. Then me volunteering, giving to the cancer research to feel good about myself because I'm doing my part to save cancer is the same thing that they're doing. What makes it different? What makes it different? If I sat here and I read, if I sat here and watched ER, House, Grey's Anatomy, every medical show for a fucking month straight, and ordered all the medical books and was reading the books as I'm sitting there watching the show. And I'm sitting there watching the show. And I've been reading the books. And then I went online and I found the medical place and I placed an order for some medical tools. And I started doing in-home procedures to help people practicing. What's the difference? Somebody will look at me straight in my damn face, be like, man, you ain't got no medical degree, man. You can't be doing that. Man, I've been studying this shit for the last 6 months. I've been studying this shit for the same amount of time as them. What's the difference? Validation, credibility? certification. Even when we look at even think about it to this aspect, it's not the credibility with certain things anymore. You didn't pay the $250,000. They did. Because I found the loophole and they didn't? Okay. I know how, but so what's the difference? See, when we're going into these spaces, and this is the actual build that complex of understanding that when you're doing your work, when you're doing the things that you're doing that's true to the aspects of yourself, your potential is always going to be outside of your comfort zone. I don't care where you go, your potential is always outside of your comfort zone. Your limitless and everything that you're going to do is going to be outside of your comfort zone. It's not the fear. There's not the fear of losing control. It's the fear of accountability. It's the fear of accountability. That perspective and that fear of accountability. Because if I go to the school and I go get all of this information, I read all this information, I pay all the stuff, and they give me my certification, at the end of the day, I can now get the insurance. I can go get insured that they're going to take a portion of my account. They're going to take a portion of the accountability. Well, I went to Harvard. I went to this school. You got to blame them as much as you blaming me. But if I'm doing it myself, that means I got to take true accountability. This true aspect of accountability. That means I can't keep blaming the others for what the fuck going on in my life. My life is pretty fucking good right now. My life is actually great. I wake up, do my meditations. I have a new prompt that I wrote out a new prompt yesterday that I've been applying to my mechanics applying to the mechanics. I said it this morning. I said it last night before I went to bed. I was charged up. I remember laying in bed, and I was laying there for a little bit, and the bed started shaking because my energy was on fucking a million and shit. And I'm healing. I'm going through my process. Go under. Had the deepest sleep ever. Woke up at 4. I woke up when I set out my schedule. I put that schedule out, that graph of my schedule for a week out. I'm up before those times. I was up before 4:30. So that doesn't mean that I'm gonna stop or I'm gonna wait. That means I'm gonna do it while I'm in that space. I'm up earlier. Okay, cool. That if I'm stuck in my old pattern, my old pattern was like, okay, cool. My old pattern, based on my job, based on the 9-to-5 mentality, was if I wake up too early and I look at the clock, I ain't got to be at work until this time. I got 30 more minutes. I got 15 more minutes of sleep. Now I'm going to lay there and fake myself to go back to sleep or program into my space that I got more time. Ultimately, I'm programming that, okay, 15 minutes is enough time for me to rest. So now later on down the line, when a high emotional situation come up that matches that emotion, that anguish that I got to go to work, that anguish that I got to get up and take care of the kids, the anguish, whatever anguish that I program into that space, I can blame it on that. Man, I'll never have enough time to do what I need to do. I only got 15 minutes. I ain't never got no time to do what I need to do because I've already programmed that into my space. Why can't I own that Why can't I own that I said that? Not them. They're just a result of that. They're a result of me saying that to myself. Head itchy. All right, cool. Why can't I own it? Because of that fear of that accountability. I wouldn't know what to do if I just caught it. If I just did it. Me doing it is going to put me in a space. I'm like, oh my God, I did it. And now I don't know what to do next. A lot of times when we're looking at the aspects of focus and how you look at your focus, Usually the shit that when that shit start falling apart and shit start happening, your money start getting short and all that shit, is letting you know where your focus is detrimental to your growth. It's showing you your truth of yourself. If you walk into a space and you say, I'm going to start my company to make more money, and then your company's not making money, and then you start getting triggered by now you going down the line and you looking, it costs this much to do this, it costs this much for a website, it costs this much for this, it costs this much for all of these things. Now you sitting there in that space with yourself like, fuck. Damn. Costs too much. Maybe I shouldn't have left that job. You're literally programming, you don't want to let that burn down. It's not a desire to you. One of the greatest books that I've been audio listening to for the last couple of months. It's crazy when I start reading a book. Crazy as fuck when I actually start putting my hands on a book, or I'm listening to a book, and then I'm listening to it. I'm like, nigga, I done said this shit already. I be looking at the book like, God damn, I've been doing this shit already. Damn. I done said that already. I done done this already. I know where that came from. I know what it's a different process. Because everything you're looking for is in the aspects of confirmation. I'm not looking for validation. See, when you're looking, using this, build into this. When something bad happens to you, you will automatically take yourself down to the motherfucking gristle. You'll bust your head to the fucking gray meat showing in that aspect. You'll do all of that. And you'll validate everything. You'll invalidate yourself on everything. But you got to remember, as above, so below, you do that shit on your rise as well. The only reason that you're able to do it so easily and it just works, it just happens, is because you're used to doing it. So the moment that you start coming up and you start exalting yourself and you start bigging yourself up and you start raising your now you're raising yourself up and you're doing more with yourself and you in your discipline. The only way that it actually works for you is based on invalidating someone else. The only way that it works for you is based on you invalidating somebody else. Yes, Wasp. Yes, Wasp. What? All the bugs want to come and play. The only reason that you keep getting stuck in that space is because of that. You can't uplift yourself without taking something else down. You can't take the honor in my job did everything because you ain't programmed the space. I remember the first time when I was actually separating from my job, this is like one of the first times when I was becoming when I was doing the my personal training and being a nutritionist. And I remember I literally programmed myself down to all I need in order for where I'm at, all I need is about $130 a week in money for me to do what I need to do. All I need is about $130 a week to do what I need to do during a week. That took care of me getting food. That took care of me getting my hair cut. That took care of all the normal shit. That took care of all the shit I needed to do. I remember the first day I went to my job and I was like, hey, I need to change my schedule around. I can't really work a lot of nights and I only can close on the weekends. My boss, going through his own shit, was upset. Okay, cool. Bet. He cut my hours. Cut my hours till I was only making $160 a week. He literally cut my hours to I was only making $160 a week. I could have sat there in that space and been triggered, as I had done before. I could have been triggered and been like, that's some bullshit. Cut my damn hours, knowing I need to work. Wait, what the fuck? I need to own that. This is honoring your thought. This is honoring the destructive process. I already said I only need $130 fucking a week to sustain doing what I need to do. All I need is $130. At that time, my company was already subsequently taking care of all of my business and all of my bills. Blessings, blessings. It was already taking my job, my side hustle was already taking care of all of my other shit. I was being able to take care of my phone bill, take care of the rent, take care of all my other stuff. So all I needed from my job was $130. I ended up getting $160. I didn't get upset. I was like, all right, cool. Everybody that fucking day came up to me. It was like, damn, yeah, he cut your hours. He was mad. You notice you didn't get a text to come to the meeting. He was upset that you cutting your hours and you separating from the space. He don't want to admit it, but yo, like, it's kind of fucked up. I was like, it's all good. I didn't have to tell them that I didn't have to tell them that part. I just said it was all good, kept going. They were like, you sure? I was like, yeah. That same day, I go to work that day, in there working. My kitchen manager walks up to me and she's like, I don't know why he spread your hours around to people that he know don't want to work. Because I need you to stay a little bit later tonight. I was like, I got you. I'll stay till about 8:30, 9 o'clock. I'll get a couple extra hours. Cool. That happened all that week. I was staying a little bit later every day that week. I ended up making I made like 45, 46 hours that week. So the next week, I got back on the schedule for 40 hours. I went through and I idolized the destruction process. I accepted the process. I accepted the idolizing my destruction. I didn't blame it on him. The motherfucker didn't know what the fuck I said. The only way they're gonna know what I said is if I say it to them. If I say, hey, I only need $130, I just said I need to cut my hours back. I can't work I only can work weekends on certain times. That's all I said. Read that. Oh, wait. Yeah. Oh, no. Go back. Don't do that ever again. Ooh, child. Read. Is there any... I've learned to accept animosity. The same way I accept this goes under the aspect of accepting the yeses with the nos. Hit the yes with, yeah, they end up hitting a hard reset because I accepted it. I didn't sit there and go through an entire scenario out loud. Even though I did take the scenario in my head, I was like, this is funny. Even when I was sitting, the longer that I sat there with it, I was like, this is funny. Because you know that when I came here, what I said I was going to do. I had to go back to what I said when I first got that job. When I first got that job, I already had said, I'm the type of person that comes in, and I was owning it. I was speaking that shit. I was like, when I come into the job, I'm the type of person that when I see an issue, I don't assess and look at problem. I try to assess at least 3 solutions. I'm the type of person that if something's going on, I don't have to go tell everybody what I'm about to go do. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go fix it. I'm going to assess it, fix it. I'm going to bring you the finished result. This was in that example. This was in that same line of information that was in the same line of the code that I gave myself. This was a new formula for me to use that code. Am I able to go into this situation and assess what is necessary and accept it as what it is and do what I need to do? What will be the result? Whatever the result is, I'm going to accept it. Whether my hours stayed cut or my hours went back up, it didn't matter. I already made the decision. I already have that burning desire, made that a desire in my mind that I'm no longer going to be working for this company. I'm not going to be working for this company when it comes into next year. That means no matter what happens, I'm running with this. I'm gonna run with it. In the same year, all the old managers got fired. due to an event, because it came out that he was cooking the books and shit. All this other stuff, all this other shit came out. All this other stuff came up. So then at the end of it, I'm the only one left there anyway. Getting what I need out of it and leaving the rest. I remember still being in that same space. And I remember they were like, hey, do you want to do the... I already had said I'm not gonna do the managing thing. I already said it. Hey, Nancy. Go over there. Hey, Nancy. My familia's over here crawling on my ashtray. So I'm looking at how I'm weaving my space. After that, COVID came through. Y'all know the story about... I told y'all the story about the COVID. COVID came through. I wasn't working okay, cool. I'm working a couple of days out the week. Then by that time came, since I already knew what I actually needed, COVID came through. By the time COVID came through, I was like, this is going to be the money that's going to furnish, that's going to be the funds that's going to handle my business. You always have a choice whether you're going to act in the lower aspect of yourself or the higher aspect of yourself. Even when we're looking at the lower aspects of myself, I could have easily been upset and mad. It wasn't that I wasn't upset. It wasn't that I didn't feel the feeling of being mad. But I already, a long time before that program, my ego was now working for me. So whenever something comes up, my ego brings something to my attention like an assistant. Hey, they doing some fucked up shit again. My ego brings it to me. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, thank you for bringing that to my attention. That these motherfuckers doing some fucked up shit. They're doing it for a reason. All right, cool. Go find the reason. Let's sit back and go find the reason. Instead of me now, when I'm inside of that space, splitting, because this is how you're splitting yourself into the spaces at all times. So now I'm sitting in the space. My ego is what they're triggered by. My ego is now nonchalant, because I understand being nonchalant is not as a trauma response. I'm not overworking myself, because I told my ego we're not, because how many times have I said to myself, I'm only going to do what I came in here to do and get paid to do. So now my ego still has that program still there. I can now use that. I'm only here to do this much work. If they need me to stay over, then I might stay over, but I will accept. They're going to have to accept whether or not. If I make the decision to stay or make the decision to, I got to leave. The next result of that came up into the human perspective. If you go back and look at on my YouTube channel, and you go back and look at Heart of Mine, it's the lecture I did on Valentine's Day. It's the lecture I did on Valentine's Day, or the day before Valentine's Day. It was also, my death day is on the 16th, and I was sitting there and I told my boss, I was like, hey, I put in that request way before, and then she came up to me and she was like, you know you can't be off on Valentine's Day unless you get approval from our area director. Okay. Let me get the area director's number. Hit the area director up. I left her a message because my area director never answers her phone. I left her a message. I left her a voicemail, then I texted the same message that I left in the voicemail. I went to work that day. My boss walked up to me. She had that look on her face like, I'm pissed, I'm mad that you got that shit to work. She looked at me, she was like, just let me know when you need to leave. Of course she had some animosity on her heart and on her chest, because she was like, God damn, I need him to be here working because everybody else is lazy. My ego would have came up and been like, yeah, they need you. I was like, yeah, I know that they need me. I know that I'm required because of the things that I can do, but it's time for us to start putting that energy into what we're doing now. We got to shift our focus. This is detrimental to where we are. This is detrimental to our now. This is detrimental to my now. I got off work that day. I went and came home, took a shower, put on my green bandana, put on my green shirt, and delivered my Heart is Mine lecture. Went back after I had that whole weekend off, self-reflection, had a good time with myself in that space. I ended up at the time I was in a relationship. I ended up cooking dinner because we both agreed we don't celebrate Valentine's Day. Cooked a nice little dinner, and boom, we had a good time watching movies. I own that space. I had to clear that. Yeah, you have to clear it out. Every time you go into these spaces with yourself, you have to learn that everything that you created based on the IE versus trauma, based on your experience, based on what you used to idealize, okay, this is what it was to be a man. But I'm looking at what I used to be as, like, using an example of being a man. My idea of being in manhood was to put everything else before me. Put everything else before me. Let those be the aspects of my emotions. Let those be the aspects of my thoughts. Let those be the aspects of my validation. So if I'm not doing things to those, I can't blame myself, or I don't take accountability for the loss of control, for the chaos that ensues. It's because now I can steady keep myself in that space. I got to go harder. That's what being a man is. But I had to understand that was from a wounded perspective. Every man that was around me at that point in time had wounded perspectives. Every woman around me had wounded masculine perspectives. So of course, if I'm inside of a space based on a wounded perception or wounded perspective, then the perception has to match the wound. So when I started really self-care, really started taking care of myself, and I wasn't going to the gym because I was angry. I was going to the gym to program my day. Now when I'm going to the gym to program my day, and I'm explaining to people, yo, how can you wake up so early? It's not from the aspect of, cause that's what a man does. It's from, it's not generic anymore. Man, I'll be angry as fuck when I go to the gym. I be feeling some type of way when I go to the gym. Because this is also understanding you can't be generic. I know my codes are based on response. To respond. I know as a manifested generator, my gene codes and everything is to respond. So when I'm having a conversation, it's based on response. That means I don't dump it. Now, to where I used to try to keep myself detached. How I stayed in a constant state of disassociation was when I would listen to a conversation, I would automatically try to seek inside the conversation to where I related in the conversation. Let me listen to what they're saying. Let me relate to it, and then we have a conversation. It wasn't based on that anymore. Because I started going deeper into myself and understanding and comprehending and not just talking. Now I ask different questions. As I started knowing more, my conversation started to change, or how I had the conversation started to change. So now I'm inside of the space, and I'm like, when I ask the question, I'm getting more information. I can understand and see and read if somebody is telling me half of a story, the middle part, or the part to make themselves feel good, to highlight themselves as the victim. And I can be like, okay, not trying to relate to it, or be like, oh, I say all the time. But now when I'm inside of the space, I automatically provide the solution. Well, what about this? Perhaps this is just a suggestion, but maybe you can do this, this, and this. Damn, I never thought about it that way. I wait. I pause. I wait for the cue to respond. Damn, I never thought about it that way. Yeah, I started doing that back in 2018. And it's gave me these results, but also with this, this, and this. Damn. Now it's a back and forth with questions. Now we're both in offense. So now we're both in offense. We put our subconscious now we're in offense. Our subconscious is already in offense. It's always playing. Your defense or your ego is now in a defensive state. Now it's going to ask more questions. Now it's in a higher level of defense. It's in observational defense instead of observational offense. That means I'm observing to react. I'm observing to respond. That means regardless if they're a reflector, they're a projector, whatever they are, doesn't matter. Because I'm not listening to them. I'm not listening to get a reaction. I'm listening to learn how to respond. That means at the end of it, that means in saying that same conversation, if I don't know the answer, I can say I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. But I can go find the answer for you. I can accept if they say yes or no. Maybe I'll go ask somebody else. All right, cool. But me saying I'm going to go get the answer is not based on them. It's not based on to have them come back to me. It's not based on me being accepted. It's not based on a rejection. It's not based on relating to them based on their situation. Because regardless, I'm still going to go get the information. That was a major key in the shift for myself in understanding that process. Because now I still go get the information. Somebody come to me talking about the aspects of anything financial. I don't understand anything about finances, but I understand the root of all finances is the aspects of your emotions. So I'm going to use that same emotion to go look up some shit. That way, even if I'm not using it there, how can I program? Just because I'm going to go look for it, it's serving me a purpose somehow. Let me see if I can program this into this. Not looking for a result or a definite outcome, but I want to see how it works. That's what you came in down here to do after you do. When you do this work, when you're doing that internal work, that healing process, you just coming down here to see how shit works. That's the ultimate process. I'm not looking at it based on to invalidate some other shit. Because I already understand it. Everything's in balance. Or it couldn't exist down here no matter how chaotic it may seem. I understand now with myself, instead of saying them niggas over there are unhealthy, to invalidate my health, I gotta invalidate their health. I gotta accept the only reason I'm able to react to them in their health practice and their health standard is because I'm trying to validate my health standard. I'm trying to validate my health standards. But until I understand that their health standard is based on their level of awareness, my health standard is based on now my level of self-awareness. So now when I go into a space and somebody says something about vegans or being plant-based, vegetarian, I ain't listening to react. I'm not listening to be like, nah, you got to understand, brother. You got to understand, sister. That's the shit. They put the shit in the food to fuck up our lives. I'll be like, I'm not using a generic quote. Exactly. I'm listening to learn. So now I'll be so like, well, I can't say it for everybody or every vegan or every plant-based motherfucker, but I know that since I've adopted this program of being plant-based, I noticed that I have more energy, or I'm able to focus my energy more. I can focus my discipline more. I'm not as distracted. My urges are lower, so I can actually attune my discipline and attune my dedication to whatever process. As opposed to when I was eating meat all the damn time, when I was over there eating meat, I noticed that I would go to sleep faster because my body would go into a shutdown. My body doesn't shut down as much. Now I'm looking to the space to be like, well, yeah, meat ain't that bad, da-da-da-da. I'm learning. Because now, all of a sudden, instead of me saying, that nigga programmed or put something in my mind, of course, it's a natural implementation. Every time you go into a space, something's going to be implemented onto you. It's going to implement and it's going to embed based on where it's still at. So if I know that, use the example, if I know that my ancestors did not eat vegetables all the time, they ate meat, and now my grandmother's coming through, and my grandmother loved fucking KFC, instead of me being like, I ain't gonna eat no damn chicken, all right, let me take this first process of this chicken real quick. Let me make my grandmother a meal and put it on the altar. All I gotta do, I'm gonna only eat one piece of chicken. Let me understand this process. That way, the next time I go into that process, I can introduce something new. I can eat fried oyster mushrooms all day. I just got a recipe from a client. They were like, yo, I took portobello mushroom slices and I turned the bitches into chicken tenders. Ah, I like that idea. I like that idea. I'm going to try that out. So now I'm in a new space. Now I'm still in the now. I'm still assessing in the now. I'm not looking at, so whenever a post go up like men's supposed to eat meat and do all this all day, that shit don't validate. I'm not looking for a validation. I'm not looking for things to invalidate something. I'm hearing total confirmation. I'm hearing total, if I'm in balance, if I'm in gratitude, then I gotta act like it. I gotta move like it. That means I'm not doing my shit based on invalidating somebody else. Even if it's just to the point, I'm not invalidating others or invalidating other things. When people come to me for services or inquiring about service or they got questions, as soon as they say some shit about another practitioner or somebody else doing work and they charge them and all that shit, the first thing I'm going to say is what we do not do inside of this space is we do not offset and invalidate somebody else in order to take away from the accountability of what we need to learn. Sitting in that space with myself, every space that I go into is now a lesson in that. It's like going into a space and somebody says something about, as we talked about earlier on, and we were talking about the aspects of what makes the validation of somebody different. And then somebody looking at some dude from India or from Pakistan that has a law degree or has a medical degree, or from another country from a medical degree, and when they were younger, ever since they were younger, all of their doctors were fucking white. You know what I'm saying? All their doctors were white. So when they say, you sure that they're okay? Instead of me reacting and being like, what do you mean by this? I want to know the answer. What do you mean by this? And then you go back to that moment of like, wait, the reason that this is coming up for me is like, okay, ego, go get the question. Ego, go get it. It's because the doctor was white. They're used to white doctors. Oh, so you're thinking you're invalidating somebody else's status and credentials based on their physical appearance and what you've seen based on that program that you consume, that's a bad person. So you looking at that motherfucker like they're a bad person, so all of them got to be that same way. So that helps you avoid you dealing with yourself, because you need a generic code to match your generic. You need a generic code to facilitate your thought process, that programming, that Trojan horse that you're going to use. Oh, that's what I'm doing all the time. That's what I've been doing when I invalidate others. That's what I'm saying whenever I say that nigga ain't shit because of this, this, and this. I'm invalidating other niggas. So I'm denying the fact that when the Carl Thomas song came out, that Emotional, or when Boyz II Men was singing with no shirts on in the fucking desert, and I was in my teenage years, and I'm saying, ooh, I'm sitting there singing along with them. I liked the way the song made me feel. That was valid. For me, that was validating how I felt about the aspects of programming, the aspects of what I thought about what love was. And then I acted out that program, and then I got my feelings hurt. And now I'm on the other side being like, yeah, that's that bullshit simp behavior. You shouldn't be giving more. I'm missing the program. I'm missing the process. I'm missing the process. I'm missing the chance to learn some shit. There's nothing wrong with me sitting there. Okay, cool. I just must now take it inward. I must invert it. I must invert that shit to myself. Okay, cool. There's nothing wrong with me loving myself. There's nothing wrong with me loving myself and being inside of that space with myself in that space, being in that feel good space. There ain't nothing wrong with that. But I got to give it to myself first in order to learn it, to confirm. Yes, validation is a human experience. If right now I pulled out my Bluetooth speaker and I started playing the Donnell Jones song, Where I Want to Be, we all gonna sing. We all gonna sing the damn song, Where I Wanna Be. We all gonna sing the damn song. If we listen to if you go to the cookout and they playing Boys II Men tracks, everybody gonna sing the song. If they playing R. Kelly, Step in the Name of Love, even if you say you not gonna get up, your foot is going to tap and do the two-step. But you have no access to that information. Now, because you're denying yourself the access, you can't get the full experience. You can't get the full experience. Because you want to deny, man, I don't want to dance with that shit, man. You know, R. Kelly was out there doing them little girls out there like that. Because if you accept that in reality, you got to also accept, sweet, woo! You sat here for fucking years. Every time Sweet Lady came on the fucking radio. Every time Sweet Lady still came on the fucking radio, you sat there and sung that song line for line, word for motherfucking word. I still know the words to that damn song. Even though Tyrese went through his processes and shit, I'm still gonna listen to that shit. That's it. All this, why would I deny myself that energy? This is the aspect of accepting the destruction. Accepting and idolizing destruction. Instead of me sitting there listening to a song like, yeah, man, I was in a very weak ass behavior with myself. No. I was in a process of learning I learned some shit about myself. I learned what I was gonna put up with. I learned what I'm willing to do. I learned that a lot. I learned that I did that shit on a trauma response or whatever it was. That's what I was learning. I had to stop giving because now we all sit here and we all see it come up and down our timelines. I'm gonna stop giving my power away. I'm calling back all my power back to me except for the negative shit. There's things that you did that were positive that served you no purpose. There's shit that you did that was very negative that served you a purpose in that moment. So you're going to deny that energy coming back to you? All I'm telling myself is I'm not ready to transmute this. I'm not ready for that level. So I shut myself back down. I still need something else. I still need something else to set the tone or to set my cadence so I can move. I still need something else to set my cadence and my tone. I'm not in the space with myself yet of confidence in that space yet. There's something going on in my root chakra. There's something going on in my sacral chakra. There's still some power issues. My power dynamic in my solar plexus is off. My complex in my heart chakra is off. I just did the first class last Saturday. And everybody in there was like, all right, cool, we're going to do this meditation. For the ladies, everybody pull up on your pelvis. And then we went through a whole conversation in the class. Everybody was like, yo, my heart was hurting. And I never felt this pain in my heart before. And I had this pain in my back before. And I'm sitting there. I opened up the space. And I was able to explain, hey, perhaps it might be this. So the assignment that I created was, I want you to write a letter to your heart. That was the assignment I gave everybody that came to class on Saturday. I want you to write a letter to your heart. What is the experience to it? Like, you can be like, man, I looked at a Martin episode the other day, and I'm laughing my ass off because I was like, It was the Christmas episode when he had when he got his Jordans. And I'm laughing. I'm like, nigga, they didn't sold them Jordans like they didn't re-release them Jordans like 96 fucking times. Don't think nothing of it. I said I never wore Jordans. But then I see a post come up on my timeline and they're admitting that they're going to release a premium Air Force One. They're going to start releasing premium Air Force Ones. And then I'm sitting there, I was like, yo, I did buy a lot of Air Forces. I did buy all the different colors and styles of Air Forces, though. Wait, them shits, instead of me being triggered like this some bullshit, they been selling some bullshit ass product, I accepted it. Anything that you mass produce and it loses its quality anyway. So now I'm looking at myself like, why did I go why was I so addicted to gonna go buy this and go buy this and go buy that? So I can validate that I was of that quality. I can validate I was of that space. Do I buy Air Forces now? No. My thought process opened up to like, if I invest in Nike, then yeah, I might buy a couple of Air Forces as fucking promotion. Because my mindset's no longer 9 to 5. My mindset is now LLC. My mindset is now C Corp. My mindset is now establishing a new entity. So everything that I'm experiencing is based on the observations of learning how to establish a new entity. You're changing every program. You have to change all the programs, not just the ones that work for you. All of them are going to change. Subsequently, you change one program, all the other ones change. If you build something on one end, something else on the other end got to be destroyed in order for you to build it to be equal on the other end. Nazi stop. Oh shit. Get off me, dude. Oh shit. Are you over there now? Yay. Sorry about that. But this goes through that process, especially today's day 6. Today's day 6 of what do you idolize or put onto a pedestal? We're not talking about the aspects, and you can go read the post. We're not talking about the aspects that are based on your goal for growth, your goal for change, your goal to grow, your goal to move forward. We're talking about the aspects of what are you idolizing that's based on giving you a biased perspective of your space. What do you keep idolizing that's keeping you triggered to do something inside of that space? Because that same thing that you idolizing is the same reason we'll go look at the same reason you'll get triggered by Nipsey Hussle. The same thing you getting triggered by Nipsey Hussle being in his hood, building up his neighborhood, buying that area, and then you'll be like, yo, you'll be sitting on one side of yourself, sitting there, be like, man, he stayed there too long. Instead of you looking at it as, you know what? In order for me to do what I'm doing, I must accept every space that I go into, there is going to be destruction to the process. There's going to be motherfuckers that are not going to fucking rock with me. There's going to be motherfuckers that are going to be all for it. There's going to be motherfuckers that are going to be all against it. The thing for me is not to react to both sides, but learn how to respond by asking the same question of both sides. If somebody rock with me and they like what I say, I ask them the same question. Like, so why do you like what I say? Yo, you make me understand like there's some, I don't like you all the fucking time. I'm looking for the motherfucker to say, I don't like you all the time because you be triggering the shit out of me. You be making me look at myself. You make me question some things. But ultimately, you're always authentic and you're transparent in your explanation. The person that hates me, they gonna hate me for that same reason. But it's gonna be a different result. But I can give them the same answer. I give them both the same answer. I'm not here as the aspect to make you feel some type of way, primarily. I've been through my experiences. My purpose is to teach. My purpose is to teach. My purpose is to provide the services so you can do this healing, go through your healing process. So on either end, I can accept both. I can stay in my lane. I can hog my lane. I ain't gotta let's use some Kevin Gates quotes. It can't be, if something negative happens or something comes up that's of destructive nature, of negative. All right, cool. Instead of me saying, yo, that shit can't happen, I'm gonna say to myself, this is necessary for me to go forward. Let me get this out the way. I get to get this out the way. I get to learn some new shit. And I'm gone. I don't have to stay there. Let me build this imprint. Let me do what I need to do inside of my space. Let me do the work. Do what's necessary so I can move forward. The only time you getting stuck in these spaces when you're afraid to do what's necessary to move forward. It's not you losing control. It's you having to take that true accountability. It's you having to take that ownership of yourself. So you can own nothing. So you only own yourself and you control everything else. You have control only over yourself. Now we going through that. Everybody be like, ooh, we going through shifts and shit. But I digress. Wanted to get that out there. Like it's on my list of to-do things to do, and I put out this information. But I want you to think about this. If you're interested, for one, if you're interested in getting into the classes, it's Tantric 101, Tantric Healing 888. The class is every Saturday at 6 p.m. Classes every day at 6 p.m. You missed the first class, it's okay. Hit me up in the inbox. I'll shoot you the information for the lesson plan of what we went over. The lesson plan of what we went over. I'll hit you with the price for the rest of the 3 classes. I'll give you access to the chat room. Cause the chat room is gonna be open long after that. And I'm gonna keep using that chat room and just keep changing the name as I do more classes. So we got classes we got this cycle of classes. I might not do classes next month. I might not, don't know. Just gonna let it happen. Gonna let it flow into that space, build on this one. But I'm gonna let you know on that. Of course, you know anything with services with me, you have any questions, set up that, if you want to set up a nice 30-minute talk, hit me up in the inbox. We can set up that appointment. Or you want to get into that shadow work consultation, get real deep into yourself. You got some more deeper questions, we can set that up. Readings, any of my services, y'all know to hit me in the inbox. You can go to the page. You can go to my Godical Alchemist LLC, the page here on Facebook. Set your appointment, and we can build. I desire you to be the motherfucking best. I'm going to sit out here I'm going to go walk in the grass a little bit and let myself ground because I just picked up a lot of energy. Stop or start assessing. I'm never going to tell you to stop. Can't stop, won't stop. I want you to start assessing and idolizing the destruction of your process. When you're putting in your work, you must accept everything in that equal balanced manner. You know there's going to be destruction. You know there's going to be some kickback for your ass doing what the fuck you doing. Accept the kickback. Accept it for what it is. The same reason that you're doing the work is the same reason for the kickback. They're not ready to do that aspect. That helps you set your tone. That helps you understand and put honoring your boundary and what you're moving forward with. But yeah. Holla at y'all. Oh yeah, tomorrow also, Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We go live on TikTok with the shadow sessions. Yeah, we in the groove. But I love you. We love us. Thank you for stopping through. Ashe.